How fast I can run in here.
She is. Hi. Hi.
What's up, Beth? Good shot.
Is this great or what? Good morning. Can you hear me? My name is Glenn Berger, and I am a 1978 graduate of the Vermont Law School and chair of the Vermont Law School Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome everyone here on this beautiful Vermont day to Vermont Law School's 46th commencement. Unfortunately, before we begin, I need to remind everyone that although we are extremely excited about having an in-person commencement after a 2-year pause due to COVID still, unfortunately, is very much with us. With that in mind, we want to stay as safe as possible while enjoying this wonderful day. As a result, we are requiring everyone who is under the tent to please wear a mask for the duration of the ceremony. During the reception, masks are optional, and anyone entering one of the law school buildings must show proof of vaccination. Thank you for your cooperation. Now I would like to introduce members of the Board of Trustees who are seated here on the platform in the first row. They are an extremely dedicated and hardworking group who take seriously their responsibilities for the governance and direction of the school, and they are pleased to be present today as part of the Vermont Law School community. Please give a hand to the trustees. And why don't you stand? Seated behind the trustees are the members of our terrific faculty. Please join me in thanking this outstanding group of educators and scholars whose successful labors bear fruit today. I would also like to thank the hardworking staff who we wouldn't be here without today. Please give a hand to the faculty and the staff. We also have a special guest today. I want to recognize our new president-elect, Rod Smoller, who, after attending Delaware Law School's commencement yesterday, drove up last night to be with us today. We are very much looking forward to him beginning his new job on July 1. In addition, his wife, Anna, I believe, is in the audience, and maybe both of you could stand up and we can give a hand to both of them. I would also like to recognize a good friend of mine who I worked with when he was our dean, Professor Kinvin Roth, who was the VLS president and dean from 1996 to 2004. Kinvin? Finally, I would like all of us to share a moment of silence to remember those members of our community who have passed this year, especially Tommy Fennell, who I know was a classmate of yours, and I know it was a very difficult year for many of you. Please start our moment of silence. Thank you. Before I turn the podium over to our next speaker, I want to offer my congratulations to the graduates and their families. You have worked hard to get here today, and you have a lot to be proud of. Enjoy this ceremony. It really is a very significant milestone in your life, and it will be something you will remember and think about, hopefully fondly, in years to come. I wish you all the best of luck in whatever you choose to do going forward from today. I know you will do great. Thank you. It is now my great pleasure to introduce a person who needs no introduction. As all of you know, Dean Beth McCormack was the Vice Dean of Students when today's JD candidates first arrived 3 years ago. In January 2020, Dean McCormack was elected the interim president and dean by the Board of Trustees. Since being elected, Dean McCormack has done an extraordinary job of, among other things, steering VLS through the COVID crisis, formulating, adopting, and beginning to implement the new strategic plan, leading us through the ABA and NETCHI accreditation process, and in her spare time, handling the day-to-day management of Vermont Law School. The good news is that although Dean McCormack will be stepping down as interim president of VLS on July 1, she will take on a new role as the Dean of the Vermont Law School. I cannot say enough about what a pleasure it has been to work with Interim President and Dean McCormack over the last 18 months. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, please join me in thanking Dean McCormack for the exceptional job she has done as Interim President and Dean. Dean McCormack.
Thank you, Chair Berger, and good morning. Members of the graduating class of 2022, trustees, honored guests, faculty, alumni, staff, and all of those here in celebration. Welcome to Vermont Law School's 46th commencement ceremony. Class of 2022, you brought us back to life. After nearly 2 years of empty buildings, you returned to our beautiful campus among the Green Mountains, right here in our tiny town with no stoplight. You reminded us of the privilege of face-to-face contact, the power of human touch and camaraderie, and the energy that comes from standing shoulder to shoulder. You breathed life, albeit masked, into our hallways and classrooms and library, and you reinvigorated our in-person traditions like the Women's Law Society auction and gala and the last day of classes party. You mastered online and hybrid events like the Solutions Conference, the Race in the Law Conference, and the Alliance Panel. You helped us start new traditions like Eid al-Fitr celebration and Dean Jay's Rockin' Back to School Bash. JDs, you led the way for our 1Ls and 2Ls and new masters and LLMs, none of whom had ever been on campus before. AJDs, or accelerated JD students, you started your degrees virtually, and some of you came to the campus for the first time just this semester. Masters and LLMs, you brought a fresh perspective and new optimism to our halls as they came alive. And all of you modeled diligence and patience with our COVID protocols, allowing the school year to continue safely. You brought us back to life, and you brought us back to life stronger. And so did you, online graduates from the class of 2022, or the always online students, as we affectionately called you during the pandemic when everyone was online. You started your fully online program after you knew that the world was changing dramatically, and you did so with eager minds. You persevered in your online education in the face of your own challenges, often working full-time while earning your degree and caring for parents and children during the pandemic. More than any online class that came before you, you built a community from afar. You made our online program stronger by taking advantage of newly remote opportunities such as practicums and clinics, and you even joined one of our field studies in Cuba with the Institute for Energy and the Environment. In short, you helped us create more space for remote students to connect with our campus students, programs, and events because of your drive to build community, and we are richer for it. Thanks to you, we became more than ever one VLS, and you too helped us bring us back to life stronger. Class of 2022, you represented all Swans, past, present, and future, through a remarkable year, including a search and hiring of our first ever standalone president, President Smola, the search for our first Associate Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Associate Dean Lisa Ryan, who's joining us here today. And the launch of our new strategic plan, designed to enhance and highlight our world-class master's programs, provide greater access to legal education, and address the most pressing problems facing the country and the world today, climate change and the need for justice reform. You held our hand when our community suffered an unimaginable loss in November with the sudden passing of Tommy Fennell, and you held us up as we grieved together as a community. At some point during today's celebration, we will hear the whistle of the train, and I ask you to try to bear that moment not as a painful reminder, but as an opportunity to hold Tommy, his brothers, his family, his friends, and his classmates in your hearts. You bore witness to and led our community following historic and tragic events, the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and others, and the reckoning with privilege and race ongoing still that followed. You also saw a contentious presidential election, the events of January 6th, a war in Ukraine, the death of Justice Ginsburg, who received an honorary degree from VLS in 1984, and of course, a global pandemic. In the aftermath of all of that, you brought us back to life. Class of 2022, you came to us from 45 states and territories, 8 different countries, and 150 different undergraduate institutions. You came as solar field techs and installers, workers in wildlife rehabilitation, livestock managers, farm and ranch hands, paralegals, teachers, carpenters, bartenders, radio and podcast producers, social workers, and as service members in the Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, and National Guard. And I can't help but point out that one of you came here as a product of the union of 2 swans, Richie Assini, the daughter of VLS alums Chuck and Jen Assini, who met while they were both students at VLS in 1985. You will now leave us to work at law firms across the country, practicing environmental law and energy law, trust and estates, business law, family law, immigration law, and as general practitioners. You're going to Atlanta, New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, New Hampshire, Colorado, California, and more. Some of you will stay here in Vermont, now fully ready after enduring the worst mud season in 25 years. You are working in the Air Force and Navy JAG Corps and serving as district attorneys in New Hampshire, New York, and Washington State. You are serving as judicial clerks to federal judges and administrative law judges, and in the Maine and Vermont Supreme Courts, the Nebraska Court of Appeals, the New Jersey courts, and the Washington State Court of Appeals. And 7 of you so far are going to Alaska. Including 3 in the bush, where you can only get to by plane. You are working at the Environmental Law Institute and EPA, protecting disability rights, working in environmental justice organizations, and to protect animal rights. Some of our master's grads will go on to be transportation planners, communications directors, grant writers, mitigation specialists, research analysts, lobbyists, and more. Many of our Master of Arts in Restorative Justice graduates and professional certificate graduates will bring restorative justice principles to education, social work, government agencies, law enforcement, and corrections. Many of the swans before you have paved this way and have hired you and will hire you and will mentor you when you arrive. And you'll do that too for the next generation of swans that you meet in your professional lives. And to those who aren't sure yet where they will go, I like these words from Stephen Schlescher at VLS's 9th commencement. What would happen if you applied the same reasoning and analysis that you learned here to start a business and learn how to meet payroll, or teaching literature, or running for political office, or becoming a journalist, or inventing something, or working for your state legislature, or composing music? Each profession or aspect of society, whatever it may be, can be made richer and better by you being in it. And I congratulate you, class of 2022, and express thanks from the bottom of my heart for helping the spirit of VLS soar back to life after 2 years of the pandemic. But I know, as well as you, that you had a lot of help on the way. And now I want to recognize those helpers, parents and spouses, loved ones, children and grandparents, friends and neighbors, and other relatives who held your hand on this journey. The ones that listened to you practice your oral arguments and your presentations, that built you up when you were feeling like you couldn't do it, and supported you during the stress of finals. The ones that could not be more proud of you today. And a special thanks to the parents who welcomed you home in March of 2020, who could probably pass the bar right now with all the classes they had to listen to as you took over their dining rooms and kitchens. Graduates, please join me in a round of applause for everyone here who loved and supported you along this journey. It is our privilege to be joined today by 3 very distinguished guests who will receive honorary degrees. Molly Gray, Vermont's Lieutenant Governor and VLS JD Class of 2014, who will deliver the 46th commencement address shortly. Gale Burford, Distinguished Visiting Scholar of Restorative Justice at Vermont Law School, and Professor Emeritus of the University of Vermont. And our very own Professor Pat Parenteau, esteemed professor and scholar, lifelong advocate for the environment, who will be retiring this year. I would like to leave today's graduates with one parting thought. In just a few short minutes, you will officially be members of the Vermont Law School alumni, joining 8,200 alums, including Lieutenant Governor Gray, from all over the world. Like those who have come before you for nearly the last half-century, we urge you to use the power of the law and policy for your community and the world. The world needs committed professionals like you, now more than ever, to protect the environment and our natural world, to advocate for justice reform, to protect women's rights, to reject bigotry and discrimination in all of its forms, and to provide high-quality legal services wherever they are needed. And don't forget, while you're doing all of that VLS, virtual or in South Royalton, will always be your home. Stay in touch, stay engaged, and come home often. Thank you and congratulations to the resilient, resourceful, and remarkable class of 2022, and to all those who supported and loved them during their journey. Vermont Law School will never forget you. You brought us back to life. Chair Berger?
I forgot mine, so I'm not sure. I've attended many graduations as a trustee, and for me, the best part of the graduation is the class speaker. It always has been, and it probably always will be. And I'm pleased to introduce Fito Magic Andre, who has been elected by his classmates to speak on their behalf. And for you out in the audience who are wondering, the Magic is Magic Johnson. He was named after Magic Johnson, and I guess he'll explain that to you when he comes up. I've had the great pleasure of working with and getting to know Fito over the past 2 years. Voted to the Board of Trustees by you as classmates as a student trustee, Fito has fully participated in board meetings and has been a very effective advocate for the needs and concerns of the students. In addition, he has served on several important board committees, including both the interim dean and president search committees. Fito is a kind, compassionate person and a lot of fun to work with. It is no surprise to me that he is here on the podium today as the elected class speaker. Please join me in welcoming Fito Magic Andre.
Wow, we did it. Thank you, Chair Berger. It's an honor to be up here. It is wild to think that just 3 years ago, we were entering law school. I'm gonna cry up here, it's all right. And some of us, like myself, were fighting to get into law school. And now I'm standing in front of you all. Vermont Law School took a chance and opened its doors for us. And I know I have a lot of people to thank. Better yet, we have a lot of people to thank for their help along this journey. Wow, we did it. First and foremost, I know I got to do it. I got to thank God for this opportunity to be here today. All right, I'm going to snap out of it soon. Next, I want to thank my classmates for electing me and giving me the chance to speak on your behalf. Yeah, play too much. And I have some more people to thank, but I need your help, class. Please help me thank Building and Grounds crew, the cleaning crew, the cafe staff, the VLS administration who have made this day possible. Next, let's give it up for the town who hosted us, fed us, provided us resources. Thank you, town. Next, let's give a round of applause to our friends, family, and those who were there, provided emotional support, their time, and please, don't let me forget their financial support. Last but not least, let's give a big round of applause to ourselves, the class of 2022. You did it. You spent countless hours studying, completing assignments to make it to this day. It took early mornings, late nights to produce these JDs, LLMs, and master's degrees. Thank yourself for persevering even when it seemed like the load was just too much to carry, especially those nights where professors forgot that you had other readings and assignments to do, but still gave you 50 pages of readings. Thank yourself for the growth you've had over this time here. And most of all, thank yourself for never giving up. You are a resilient class of 2022. Graduate school isn't easy, y'all. It takes a lot out of a person, and today, we are better versions of ourselves because of it. If I can be honest, I wanted to quit even before the academics were in front of me. I remember coming here, getting on the only Uber in the New England area, coming down South Royalton. Unbeknownst to me, I would become an expert in property because I arrived to my apartment, which was a mess, and it was uninhabitable. To add insult on top of injury, I was a black young man entering law school with imposter syndrome. Weeks before arriving here, I learned that my mother had cancer. I didn't even have financial aid. But through this community, Robert Baker, Carice Duru, Katie Merle, Ricky and Charles, and Miss Elaine. You all were my rock. You pushed me. And this moment, I only tell you all this because I know that many of you have had inspiring stories on your path to Vermont Law School, and even through your journey through the graduate programs. Again, you all were resilient. Class of 2022, we took so many different paths to get to Vermont Law School. Some of us were beauty pageants, speech pathologists, see, I probably need you all, paralegals, college athletes, scientists, stylists, knitters, and even chefs. However, I'm still trying to figure out who's the chef in our class. I'll just take that. As I stand here today, I think about all the great memories and the amazing people we've met here at VLS. Dean Jefferson, who always grounded us in the deep history of Vermont Law School, Katie Merle, who never seemed to lack any energy or enthusiasm. Bill Bonds, who greeted any and everyone as he circled campus to check for Wi-Fi connections. Dean McCormack, who seemed to remind us about the bar exam in the most subtle ways every time we spoke. And I can't forget Dean Brennan, the tallest law professor in the country. And so many more people. During orientation, we were told that if you didn't fall in love with Vermont, you would fall in love in Vermont. I can honestly say both have happened for me. While our time here in the classroom may have come to an end, we will remain swans forever. Forever. As famous and the greatest heavyweight boxer and activist, Muhammad Ali has once said, "Don't count the days, make the days count." We can genuinely say that we made our days at Vermont Law School count, whether it was playing the game in Professor Firestone's contracts class, overcoming the hurdles of appellate advocacy, mentoring 1Ls, writing proposals for DEI and critical race theory classes, or even learning how to ski and snowboard. We made our days here count. Class of 2022, we are overcomers, public servants, first-generation graduates, legacy graduates, chain breakers, and we are world changers. We will be the next hold it, please, thank you. We will be the next generation of judges, policymakers, educators, politicians, and advocates for years to come. And as we go out into the world, let us never forget why we came to Vermont Law School to pursue these LLMs, JDs, and master's degrees. Maybe it was to bring sustainable energy to our communities. Perhaps it was to gain the tools to fight racism and bigotry in our country. Or maybe it was to improve the quality of life for our family and friends and the family of the next generations to come. Thank you and congratulations again, class of 2022. We did it.
Thank you, Fito. We will now present awards to members of the graduating class and to members of our Vermont Law School community. Descriptions of the awards may be found in your commencement program immediately following the order of exercises. It is my honor to first present the Learned Hand Award for Academic Excellence, established by the late Honorable Sterry Waterman, the second chair of the Vermont Law School Board of Trustees, and for many years, a colleague of Judge Hand on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. The award is for the graduating student with the highest cumulative grade point average at the end of the 5th semester. This year, we have a very unique situation because for the first time in Vermont Law School's history, we have a tie. This year's recipients are both representatives of all of our students who strive for intellectual excellence following Learned Hand's example. The first recipient of the 2022 Learned Hand Award is receiving a Juris Doctor. She is a leader, an advocate for the environment, and a curious and kind student. While at VLS, she was an environmental missions scholar, staff editor, and symposium editor for the Vermont Law Review, an article writer for VLS Environmental Roundtables, and an academic success mentor. She was also the events coordinator of the Environmental Law Society and a Youth Climate Congress delegate. While it seems like she would not have much time for anything else, she excelled in her classwork, receiving the Academic Excellence Award for earning the highest grade in legislation and regulation, air pollution, corporations, and family law. She serves as a teaching assistant for torts, legal writing, and evidence. I was talking about this recipient with Dean Rushlow, who shared with me that this student was the type of student who, when she asked you a question or sent an email, you were filled with a lot of pride and a little bit of apprehension. Because you knew she was going to be asking about some complex or nuanced area of the law that was going to require some deep thinking. We were lucky to have her in the class of 2022, and the world is lucky to have her as an advocate for the environment. Please join me in congratulating Mariah Harrod as a recipient of the 2022 Learned Hand Award. Mariah. Our second Learned Hand recipient in alphabetical order, with an identical GPA, is receiving a Juris Doctor and a Master of Food and Agriculture Law. She is a talented and dynamic writer and oral advocate, a defender of animals, and a person who, above all else, is drawn to helping others. She received 7 Academic Excellence Awards, not even counting this semester, which is more than I can recall a student ever winning. She was a moot court star, arguing in the final round of the Debevoise Moot Court competition and representing VLS on the national moot court team. What I will remember about her, though, for years to come are not those honors, but it is how this student was drawn to helping others as a Dean's Fellow, as a teaching assistant, and as an academic success mentor. One example stands out. During the last semester, she organized a grief support group and used her training and experience as a grief support specialist to help acknowledge and address the individual and collective grief of the VLS community. We appreciate her, we will miss her, and we are inspired by her. Would Ashley Monty please come to the stage and join me in a round of applause for our second Learned Hand member. The next award is named in honor of the much-loved and esteemed former Dean, Maximilian Kempner. The Kempner Award was established by the Board of Trustees to honor Max on the occasion of his retirement as Dean. It recognizes the graduating student who, by personal example throughout their law school career, exemplifies the attributes demonstrated by Max: competence, integrity, respect, fair-mindedness, and public service. The tribute to Dean Kempner is especially meaningful this year, as he passed away just recently in February of 2021. Fito Andre is this year's recipient of the Kempner Award. I could talk about Fito's contributions to VLS for hours, but given the rising heat, I will be brief. I first met Fito in the front row of my civil procedure class when he was a nervous first year, and even then I knew there was something magical in the way that he approached his studies and cared for his colleagues. I really got to know him when he became the student representative to the Board of Trustees during the most active time for the Board of Trustees in my memory. He represented student views and all of the things the Board of Trustees has done over the last 2 years. But he still found time to DJ student events, serve as the president of the Christian Law Fellowship, work in admissions, serve as an auctioneer, and on the Vermont Journal of Environmental Law. When I picture Fito now, it's most often in his yellow ambassador shirt, helping somebody with something. Just last Saturday, when he should have been celebrating his impending graduation, I found him at the preliminary bar, proctoring the exam for first years. And when I said, "What are you doing here?" he said, "Katrina needed help." That same scenario has played out probably hundreds of times during the last 3 years. In fact, I remember him showing up in my civil procedure class in November when I needed help but didn't even know it. There will be a Fito-sized hole on this campus when he begins his service as a Judge Advocate General for the United States Air Force. 1996, the editor of the Herald wrote that both in public and private, Dean Max Kempner has proven such an exquisite gentleman, so devoted to civility and discourse, so faithful to the public ideals of his profession, that his leadership has elevated the VLS community. Based on that and everything I know about Fito, I think Max Kempner would have been honored to have Fito Magic Andre win an award in his name. So please join me in congratulating Fito as the 2022 recipient of the Max Kempner Award. Okay, just one more. Oh, no, two more. Okay. It is now my honor to introduce Jacqueline Brilling, president of the Vermont Law School Alumni Association. Jacqueline Brilling earned her Juris Doctorate from VLS in 1979 and currently serves as president of the Vermont Law School Alumni Association. Jackie retired as secretary of the New York State Public Service Commission in 2012 after completing a 34-year career as a utility regulator. She is now an impartial hearing officer for the New York State Department of Education. In addition, Jackie serves on the presumptive mediator panel and as an arbitrator for New York State's 3rd and 4th Supreme Court judicial districts. And she is a consulting attorney on energy, environmental, and telecommunications matters. Jackie, please come up on the stage.
Good morning. The Lex Pro Urbe et Orbe Award is given annually at commencement to a graduate who demonstrates certain core values. The recipient is someone who represents the mission of VLS to serve the community and the world by enriching lives through service, who exemplifies the values of VLS by showing kindness to students, administrators, faculty, staff, and alumni, and who actively supports other students through social engagement, mentorship, professional networking, and other programs to assure successful and enriching law school experiences for all. We had a terrific field of nominees this year, and I am honored to bring to your attention a graduate whose accomplishments are way too numerous to mention fully in this setting. Needless to say, her nickname says it all. Heather to the rescue, Francis, has been involved tirelessly in every aspect of the betterment of life for the Vermont Law School community, from creating care packages during the pandemic, organizing a town hall forum after the death of George Floyd, amending the Student Bar Association bylaws, securing funds for the food pantry, participating in DEI initiatives, managing the Vermont Law Review notes process, and so much more. In short, if you need it done, go ask Heather. In my long career as an employer and public servant and public official, I have observed that intelligence is important for job performance, but work ethic, drive, determination, loyalty, and collegiality are also key qualities to obtaining workplace skills and employer satisfaction. Heather, you possess all of these credentials and more, and these will serve you well wherever you go and whatever field you select. Just continue to be you. So Heather, on behalf of the Grateful Alumni Association and the entire VLS community, I am honored to present you with the 2022 Lex Pro Urbe et Orbe Award in recognition of the many gifts you have shared while at Vermont Law School.
Upon the retirement of President and Dean Jeff Shields in 2012, a group of trustees and donors established a fund to honor Jeff and his wife Jeannie's commitment to the law school. The Jeff and Jeannie Shields Prize was created as an annual award given to members of the community who have made a unique contribution to the culture of philanthropy at VLS. This year's prize is awarded to the two individuals responsible for the creation of the Peter W. Hall Memorial Scholarship Fund, Jill Fenning, VLS Class of 2007 and trustee, and Peter Keyes, VLS Class of 2013, both former law clerks for Judge Hall. A giant of the Vermont law legal community, Judge Hall was the lone Vermonter on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit and previously served as the U.S. Attorney for Vermont and president of the Vermont Bar Association. He was also a valued longtime friend of VLS. In addition to serving on our Board of Trustees for nearly a decade, he helped educate and launch the careers of countless students and alum, like Lieutenant Governor Gray, through clerkships, internships, and externships. Shortly after Judge Hall's passing in March of 2021, Jill and Peter approached VLS with the idea of creating a scholarship in his memory. Each scholarship recipient will personify the characteristics for which Judge Hall was best known: humility, empathy, integrity, good humor, love of Vermont, and a steadfast commitment to public service and the rule of law. Jill and Peter helped design the fund and organized all 70 of Judge Hall's former law clerks to contribute to it, along with current and former VLS trustees, faculty, staff, other judges, and members of the Hall family. Their efforts, along with the financial component of the Shields Prize, have now raised over $130,000 for this endowed scholarship fund. On behalf of Vermont Law School, it is my pleasure to award the 2022 Jeff and Jeannie Shields Prize to the creators of the Hall Fund and to express our deepest thanks for their efforts on behalf of the law school. Jill and Peter, please join me to accept this high honor. Chair Berger.
Thank you, Dean McCormack. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased and honored to introduce our commencement speaker, Vermont's Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray. Lieutenant Governor Gray is a Vermont native, having grown up on a farm in South Newbury. After graduating from the University of Vermont in 2006, she worked on human rights issues for the International Committee of the Red Cross, work that took her to Haiti, Uganda, Georgia, the Western Balkans, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Of course, her biggest claim to fame is that she attended the Vermont Law School while working nights at the worthy Berger and graduated in 2014. Following law school, Molly served as a law clerk to the Honorable Peter W. Hall on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. She also worked for the International Code of Conduct for Private Security Providers, an organization created to monitor the human rights compliance of private security contractors. In 2018, she was appointed an Assistant State Attorney General in the Vermont Attorney General's Criminal Division. During that period, she also taught at VLS, and in 2020, she was elected Vermont's Lieutenant Governor, only the fourth woman in the state to hold that position. Please join me in welcoming back to Vermont Law School Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray.
Can I still say good morning? Good morning. I'll start by saying that there's perhaps nothing more nerve-wracking than having all of your former professors behind you. Good morning, faculty, staff, board members, friends, families, and distinguished guests. But most importantly, good morning, graduates. Thank you, Chair Berger. Thank you, President and Dean McCormack. Fito, my goodness, what a star. A tough act to follow. Each of you have undertaken quite a journey to get to this point. You know that. Today is a culmination of years of hard work and the beginning of a new chapter. Let that just set in for a moment. The world of law and the world of policy needs you. And I'm so thrilled that each of you have decided to step up to the plate. It's an honor to be back on a campus I hold dear and in a state I love so much. I have VLS to thank for rewiring the circuitry of my brain. Even today, I can't help but compose a text message in Iraq. I still want to brief just about everything I read, and it's tough to answer questions from the press without saying, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. Whether you're finishing a one-year program or 3 years of law school, your time here has been far from conventional. It's been disrupted, it's been difficult, it's probably challenged you in more ways than you ever imagined when you stepped on campus. Your success amidst difficult times has well prepared you for whatever comes next, even serving as lieutenant governor. When I first stepped on campus, I had a lot of passion. I had spent the previous 3 years working for the International Committee of the Red Cross, urging Congress and our government to comply with the Geneva Conventions. Conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq were raging. Drone use was on the rise. Hundreds of detainees were held at Guantanamo. Some of them are still held. And private security contractors roamed war zones free of accountability. At the ICRC, I was in the room for high-stakes discussions with congressional committees and staffs, but I quickly tired of taking the lawyers to meet with the lawyers. So I made a decision that surprised many people in Washington, D.C., to return home, right here to Vermont, to study law, international law, here at Vermont Law School. And during my time here, I developed a whole new understanding of civil rights, of constitutional rights, of international law in all its forms, and national security. It was the best decision I've ever made. Since sitting where you sit today, much has happened, more than I can have imagined. I've worked hard, very hard, very, very hard to pass the bar exam. I've clerked for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit and the late Judge Peter Hall, who I miss dearly. I know many members of the law school community do. I've monitored security contractors in Baghdad for human rights violations. I've investigated the Catholic Church for decades-old child abuse at the St. Joseph's Orphanage as an assistant attorney general. And today I have the deep honor of serving as your 82nd lieutenant governor. Vermont Law School prepared me for all of it. Not a day goes by that I don't carry with me the lessons I learned from this community. Those lessons can be summed up in 3 words: collegiality, impact, and resilience. If you're in the audience today, you know much of what puts VLS on the map nationally: the Environmental Law Program, the new Restorative Justice Program, the best advocates in the nation on LGBTQ+ rights and action, just to name a few. But there's something else that won't be on your degree, something I didn't come to fully appreciate until I took my legal education and went out into the world, and that is a unique sense and training on collegiality. Passionate discourse and dispute is inherent in any successful legal education. I think you all probably know that by now. But it's this school's special, intimate culture that prevents arguments from turning too nasty and lasting too long. Here on campus, even the most fiery debates have a way of blowing over, because after all, you know you're going to see each other at the Worthy Burger, and at the post office, and at the South Royalton Market, and at the library, and at the gym, and everywhere in between. This campus, this community creates accountability. Accountability brings trust. And more than ever right now, we need trust. We need trust in leaders, we need trust in our institutions, and we need trust in the law. After all, The law is society's attempt at rules of social cohesion. It's an effort to make society greater than the sum of its parts. Our best and most effective lawyers understand that the law is not a zero-sum proposition, and that burning bridges is never productive. Trust, civility, and integrity are the foundations of a just and empathetic society. And as Lieutenant Governor, I've seen this firsthand. In the State House, I've witnessed leaders tearing each other down for political gain or short victory over a particular issue. But the moment is fleeting. It's never productive, and it never lasts. Your degrees and the tools that you have now should be used for justice, for good, not to make others feel small. So no matter where you go, I implore you to retain and cultivate the sense of collegiality and community that flourishes right here on this campus. And always imagine the next person in the grocery store or at the gym or at the library or wherever you turn is your adversary. Now more than ever, we need our nation and the world to operate a lot more like this small nook of Vermont. The second lesson I learned from VLS was that the law has an impact. That sounds pretty basic. A real profound impact on entire lives and entire societies. Equipped with your diplomas and those rewired brains, each one of you is now a specially trained human tool, and you must choose whether or not you will be a tool for good. I encourage you to use your skills to advocate for what is needed in this moment right now. At this moment, rights that we believed were fundamental are under attack. From voting rights to reproductive rights, we're entering a new world in which the law, as you've been taught, as I've been taught, may be in question. I call on you to be champions, to be ambassadors, to be advocates for justice, for democracy, and the rule of law, and to be so at every level. At its core, VLS is a law for the community and for the world. And today we need both. We desperately need both. We need lawyers who are local, and especially here in Vermont, and I hope you will stay here, and lawyers who are global. We need ethical, well-trained, values-driven lawyers, not only in public defenders' offices, but also in corporate boardrooms. The law should be the great equalizer. An attack on anyone's rights should be an attack on everyone's rights. Today, as we work to protect fundamental rights and uphold the Constitution, there is no such thing as a fight too small. I encourage you to take up that fight, no matter where your career takes you. And while faithfully upholding and supporting the laws of our state and our country, and recognizing that that is a service in and of itself, we also need you to serve in other ways. On our select boards, on our school boards, on our city councils. We've trained hard, you've trained hard, and now it's time to take that work to the community and the world. I also encourage you to recognize the limitations of traditional justice. During my work in the Attorney General's office, I investigated decades-old abuses at a Catholic orphanage. I was confronted by those limitations. In that circumstance, the law was powerless to achieve justice, as so many of us have been taught. As we work to heal harms outside the scope of the law, we must also recognize the power of alternative forms of justice and center the voices and experiences of victims and historically marginalized groups. To all of you, to the graduates who have also studied restorative justice, your impact will be profound as we reform our justice system and do the hard work needed to heal our communities, our nation, and our world. The third major lesson that I learned here at VLS and my career has taught me is resilience, something I know all of you know now very, very well. Surely no one in this crowd has been immune to personal challenges. After all, the one thing that's more difficult than finishing law school is finishing law school during a global pandemic. So you're ready for anything. But let's be honest, lawyers rarely are known for showing weakness or even allowing leeway. That's great for your clients, but that's not always great for you. For too long, the legal profession has resigned to its reputation of long hours and sometimes isolation. And I'll be really honest, that can lead to mental health challenges and substance use disorder. It's up to you, the next generation of legal professionals, to break that trend. Take the time to sleep and to rest, to really rest, to exercise, and to be frank and honest and open and clear about how you're feeling. It took me a long time to come to those terms. It took me a long time in my career. I was obsessed with projecting an image of perfection and strength. I thought that was how lawyers had to behave, and I did this at times at the expense of my own physical and mental health. But what I learned was this: if you can't advocate for yourself, you can't advocate for others. Remember that. Today, I've learned to take time for self-care. I've learned that authenticity and vulnerability actually are extremely powerful. Armed with these skills, I've developed a new sense of resilience as a lieutenant governor. And I encourage you then to take care of yourselves, to be deeply true to yourselves, and to find strength in your vulnerability. This, in turn, will bring positive ripples across your community and will bring positive ripples across the world. As Vermont's lieutenant governor, I can't leave today without making a sales pitch for Vermont. So bear with me. Vermont's historic commitment to justice is unmatched. We were the first state in the nation to abolish slavery. We were the first to recognize civil unions and the first to pass a law legalizing same-sex marriage. This November, if the Vermont voters will it, we will be the first state in the nation to add a reproductive liberty amendment to our state constitution guaranteeing reproductive autonomy right here in Vermont. Which means you all need to vote in November. And while I'm so proud of the steps we've taken, so deeply proud, Vermont is not perfect, not at all. And we still have a lot of work to do to make our state more just and more equitable and welcoming. So as you begin your career beyond BLS, I urge you to remember the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, words I hold dear. Where does human rights begin? It begins right here in our communities at home. And for those of you deciding to stay after graduation, know there is much deeply good work to be done. And for those of you moving away, I know it won't be long before you're back, and know that our beautiful small state will always have a place for you and waiting with open arms. At its best, the law binds society together and makes justice possible. But when it's used for ill, it is a weapon, a tool of oppression. So as you move through your career, you'll face continual decisions. You can be a force for construction or a force for destruction, for unity or divisiveness. Looking out here today, I'm heartened in this state, at this institution, in this era of our history. I know that the crowd before me will stand ready to uphold our Constitution, to protect fundamental rights, and to be advocates for good. I encourage you to do good, to be good, and in this moment, help others understand why it's so deeply, deeply important. And in the words of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who I didn't know was here on this campus in 1984, the year I was born, I will say, in her words, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that leads others to join you. So in closing, graduates, are you ready for some diplomas? Yes? Okay. In closing, I want to wish you my most heartfelt congratulations. And as a fellow Vermont Law School alum, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is just the beginning of our journey. Know that swans of a feather always flock together. And go forth with collegiality, with ambition for impact, and resilience that this law school has taught you. I'm so excited for all you'll accomplish. Congratulations.
Thank you, Molly, for those kind words and inspirational words. And now to the business of the day. Dean McCormack, will you please present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa?
Lieutenant Governor, will you please join me? Molly Gray, you have focused on public service and promoting human rights, voting rights, reproductive rights, and climate action at home and beyond our country's borders. As Lieutenant Governor of the state of Vermont, you have served Vermont by giving them a voice and a seat at the table, advocating for equitable access to health care, housing, broadband, and affordable children, and affordable child care. That would be an accomplishment. Affordable child care, among many other important issues. We recognize and honor your incredible dedication and service to the public's interest. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Law, honoris causa, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Professor Burford, will you please join me? Professor Gale Burford, you are a distinguished visiting scholar of restorative justice at Vermont Law School, an emeritus professor of social work at the University of Vermont, where you served as department chair from August of '99 to August of 2002, and until your retirement in 2014 as the director of the University State Child Welfare Training Partnership. You facilitated the beginnings of the Vermont Community Justice Consortium starting in 2001 through to its formalization and a signed memorandum of understanding between the University of Vermont and the State Agency of Human Services, and on its expansion in 2015 with signatories from Vermont Law School and the Vermont State Attorney General. Your public service includes contributions as a foster and group home parent, caseworker and social work practitioner, trainer and supervisor, manager and senior administrator in services for children, young people, and their families. And you've conducted private practice of individual, group, and family counseling for 25 years. As an early advocate for starting a restorative justice program at VLS, you recognize the importance of teaching law and graduate students not only about conventional responses, but about more relational restorative responses. Your wisdom and insight helped serve as a catalyst for the VLS Master of Arts in Restorative Justice and the Professional Certificate in Restorative Justice. We recognize the rich contribution you have made on this campus and in homes across the state. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Professor Parenteau, will you please join me? Pat, you are a force. We have been so honored to have you at our midst for 30 incredible years. While you are currently a professor of law and senior counsel in the Environmental Advocacy Clinic, you have served our school in many ways and have been instrumental in making VLS the environmental law school that it is today. You served as director of the Environmental Law Center for 6 years. You founded the VLS Environmental and Natural Resources Law Clinic in 2004, creating a model for environmental law clinics nationwide. You have educated and enlightened generations of VLS students. You started your career in law and continued your commitment to public interest work at National Wildlife Federation and for 8 years as Vice President for Conservation. You have also served as a public official and special counsel to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation and Regional Counsel to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Region 1. You are a national expert on clean water, climate change, and protecting our wildlife. You have been a prolific writer, an outspoken, forceful environmental advocate throughout your career. As you said in your lecture yesterday, you are never neutral. And you've been our media darling, providing insightful expertise to the New York Times, Bloomberg, the Washington Post, NPR, and many, many others. We actually can't imagine that you're actually retiring. We wish you the best of luck in your second round as Fulbright Scholar at University College Cork in Ireland, and we are so pleased to honor your incredible contributions to the field of environmental law and Vermont Law School with this honorary degree. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Don't stop believing.
Thank you, Dean McCormack, and congratulations to all the recipients. In addition to training future lawyers through our Juris Doctorate program, Vermont Law School also offers a number of master's degrees that focus on aspects of environmental law and restorative justice. These degrees are described in your program. Vice Dean for Students and Professor of Law Joseph Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the joint degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Master of Energy Regulation and Law, Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy, and Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Dean Brennan.
Thank you, Chair Berger. Will the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the joint degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Juris Doctor and Master of Energy Regulation and Law, Juris Doctor and Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy, and Juris Doctor and Master of Arts in Restorative Justice please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the 2022 candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the joint degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Juris Doctor and Master of Energy Regulation and Law, Juris Doctor and Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy, and Juris Doctor and Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree or degrees listed after your name, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. I will present you with your diploma or diplomas, assisted by Dean McCormack. Dean Shirley Jefferson and Jennifer Rushlow will assist you in donning the hood or hoods appropriate to your academic attainments. We congratulate you on earning the degree of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Juris Doctor and Master of Energy Regulation and Law, Juris Doctor and Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy, and Juris Doctor and Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. I ask the audience to withhold applause until all degrees have been awarded.
Jacob Adkins, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Theophilus Agby, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Jonathan Alejandrino, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Michelle Amidzik, Juris Doctor, Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy with distinction. Austin Anderson, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Alyssa Ray Anderson, Juris Doctor. Fito Magic Andre, Juris Doctor. Emmanuel Asidu, Juris Doctor. Richie Merendon Assini, Juris Doctor. Princess F. Backer, Juris Doctor. Robert Baker, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Lauren Suzanne Berg, Juris Doctor. Shelby Bizup, Juris Doctor. Ian Conrad Blackwelder, Juris Doctor. Paul Kessner Blaine, Juris Doctor. Alexa L. Blaze, Juris Doctor. James William Lee Briggs, Juris Doctor. Althea Nichelle Brim, Juris Doctor. Simeon Brown, Juris Doctor. Rachel Bruchetta, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Cassandra Taylor Kala, Juris Doctor. Christina Lynn Caliendo, Juris Doctor. Isabel Calleja, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Christina Cambria, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Nicole Caudell, Juris Doctor. Rosie Chima, Juris Doctor. Audrine Chepian, Juris Doctor. Daniel Namgiyu Cho, Juris Doctor. Carolyn Clark, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Emily Graham Clay, Juris Doctor. Joseph Coffey, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Christopher Constantino, Juris Doctor. Kelly Cook, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Jillian Cowley, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Jay Dolstrom, Juris Doctor. Christopher Jarrett Davis, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Peter Della Porta, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Matthew Dietz, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Calum Dixon, Juris Doctor. Tyler W. Doan, Juris Doctor. Carice N. Duru, Juris Doctor. Elizabeth Franks Eden, Juris Doctor. Augustine Jonathan Joseph Edwards, Juris Doctor.
You got that, baby.
Andrew Evans, Juris Doctor. Jacob Evans, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Jeremy Paul Evans, Juris Doctor. Nicole Fandino, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Brad Farrell, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Emma Rose Fisk, Juris Doctor. Brittany Marie Forrest, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Heather A. Francis, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy with distinction. Mary Franco, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude, Master of Energy Regulation and Law with distinction. Steve Francois, Juris Doctor. Elijah Freeman, Juris Doctor. Morgan Fryer, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Benjamin Fuller, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Jonathan Lewis Gaberman, Juris Doctor. Rebecca Gridone, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Diamond Griffith Fowler, Juris Doctor. Heidi Gunther, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Julia Guerin, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Sheila Maureen Hallstrom, Juris Doctor. Lawrence Lillian Hansen, Juris Doctor, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Christopher William Hardy, Juris Doctor. Mariah Herod, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Gianna Helen Hart, Juris Doctor. Madison Herzog, Juris Doctor. Casey Hess, Juris Doctor. Danielle Nicole Hinchy, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Joseph Hodges, Juris Doctor. Sierra Hopkins, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law with distinction. Nicholas J. Houghton, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Kanisha Jackson, Juris Doctor. Shelby Margaret Jewett, Juris Doctor. Kendall C. Keelan, Juris Doctor. Addison Sandra Kilty, Juris Doctor. Caitlin Alexandra Kennedy, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Noy S. Kruvy, Juris Doctor. Bailey LaFlamme, Juris Doctor, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Allison LaShore, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Charlotte McClellan, Juris Doctor. Kimani Marquez McRae, Juris Doctor, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Marina Josephine Miller, Juris Doctor. Emily Miller, Juris Doctor. Ashley Monty, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy with distinction. Jacob Moulton, Juris Doctor. James Anthony Mulhall III, Juris Doctor. Matthew Murphy, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Christine Cook Myers, Juris Doctor. Katharina Narrigan, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. John William Nicolau, Juris Doctor. Bridget Ann Nostro, Juris Doctor. Jack Novak, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Megan Rose Oates, Juris Doctor. Kaylin O'Brien, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. John Joseph Odell IV, Juris Doctor. Andy Parnell, Juris Doctor. Lucas P. Parcell, Juris Doctor. Christine S. Paul, Juris Doctor. Ashley Elizabeth Pinkney, Juris Doctor. Claire Pladel, Juris Doctor, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Kijana Elspeth Plinderleith, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, Master of Energy Regulation and Law with distinction. Madison Page Procott, Juris Doctor cum laude, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Andrew Ramsey, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Patrick Rea, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Diara Aquila Raymond, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Taha Shibaz Rumani, Juris Doctor. Carly Elizabeth Ripple, Juris Doctor, cum laude. A.J. Rivera, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Andrea Salazar, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law with distinction. Christian Salt, Juris Doctor. Christopher Scheffler, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Justin Scoville, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Bridget Nicole Scott Shoup, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Salvador Segura, Juris Doctor. Heather Diane Shepard, Juris Doctor. Robert Sievert, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Carissa Smith, Juris Doctor. Isabel Christina Smith, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Mary Smith, Juris Doctor. Alexandra Julian Agardi Spring, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Sasha St. Just, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Olivia St. Pierre, Juris Doctor. Heather Stevens, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Sierra Suafoa McLean, Juris Doctor. Michael Tadonino, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Taylor Lynn Tavormina, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Clay Bogard Thomas, Juris Doctor. Annika Walsh Van Rossum, Juris Doctor. Josie Watson, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Steve Wing, Juris Doctor. Matthew West, Juris Doctor. Serena Diane White, Juris Doctor. Benjamin D. Wickman, Juris Doctor. Akeem Kadeen Williams, Juris Doctor. Kirsten Maria Williams, Juris Doctor. Monica Zavala, Juris Doctor. Please join me in congratulating Vermont Law School's Juris Doctor and Joint Degree graduates for the class of 2022. Chair Berger.
Okay, and now for the master's degrees. Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. I will present you with your diploma assisted by Dean McCormack. Dean Rushlow, Director of the Environmental Law Center, Interim Graduate School Dean and Professor of Law, will assist you in donning your hood. I'm going to say this again, and you can do what you like. I ask the audience to withhold its applause until all degrees have been awarded.
Krishana Charisse Abraham Petrie, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Vanessa Bean, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Daria B. Bednarchik, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Emily Sarah Binder, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Jiayu Deng, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Anne Olivia Eldred, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Ashley Stephanie Heron, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Caroline Rose Granger, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Dana K. Halleck, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Kendall Elizabeth McPherson, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Benjamin Robertson, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Katarina Victoria Ruiz, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Linnea Ann Tutsov, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Jaehwa Wang, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Masters of Environmental Law and Policy graduates.
Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. Professor Kinvin Jones, Director of the Institute for Energy and the Environment, will assist you in donning your hood. I ask the audience to withhold its applause until all degrees have been awarded.
Austin K.G. Schessel, Master of Environmental Regulation, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Rachel Widowich, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Masters of Energy Regulation and Law graduates.
Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. Professor Laurie Baranovan, Director of the Center for Agriculture and Food Systems, will assist you in donning your hood.
He didn't even bother to ask you to withhold your applause anymore. Allison T. Cohen, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy. Denise Durham Perdue, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy. Emily Catherine Hickey, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy. Shauna Minning, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy with distinction. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Masters of Food and Agriculture Law graduates.
Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. Professor Stephanie Clark, Director of the Center for Justice Reform, will assist you in donning your hood.
David Nelson Buckland, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Chad DeFore, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Chloe Elena Dutriel, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Leslie Gale Gannon, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Layla Gillings, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Emma Hurst, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Brianna Lavelli, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Catalina Landono, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Emily Bliss Jennings Naylor, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
Shout out to my girl, Carla Barrett, Marge, with honor.
Aiden Summer Pipoli, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice with distinction. Paula Marie Rodriguez, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Oksata Michelle Thomas, Master of Arts in Restorative Justice. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Master of Arts in Restorative Justice graduates.
Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Masters of Law in Environmental Law, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. Dean Rushlow will assist you in donning your hood.
Paulo Carvalho, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. Madeline E. Collins, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. Pedro Colon, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. Caroline Fulham, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. Win Bong Leong, LLM in Environmental Law. Michael V. Sua, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. Leslie Terons, LLM in Environmental Law with distinction. E. Fei Zhou, LLM in Environmental Law. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Master of Laws in Environmental Law graduates.
Dean Brennan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies please stand? Chair Berger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies.
The candidate, I think. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Masters of Law in American Legal Studies, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean Brennan calls your name. Dean Cynthia Lewis, Vice Dean for Faculty and Professor of Law, will assist you in donning your hood.
And as always, please make sure to wait until all names are called. Lucy Sasson, LLM in American Legal Studies. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022 Master of Laws in American Legal Studies graduate.
Okay, now you're allowed. Members of the faculty, staff, board of trustees, alumni, families, and friends, please recognize with your applause the achievements and distinction of Vermont Law School's 46th graduating class, the class of 2022. I would like to, we're almost done. I would like to thank our bagpiper, Benjamin Montrose, who led the procession, and the musicians of the Royalton Brass. I would also like to thank Nina Russo and Teresa Johnson for their careful planning and preparation for this event. As well as Ashley Zia, Stephanie Chirella, and Brooke Knutson, and all members of the staff, the student marshals, and others whose assistance was essential. And finally, I'd like to thank Sue Folger, who I have interaction with almost every day, and who essentially runs the Board of Trustees. Without her, we could not exist. She does so much more than is in her job description, let's put it that way. And we appreciate it beyond anything she can comprehend. I mean, she's just wonderful. So I'd like to give a big round of applause to Sue Folger. After the rendition of the national anthem sung by 2022 graduates Casey Hess and Simeon Brown, the bagpiper and the student marshals will lead the academic procession from the tent. I ask the audience to remain in place until the conclusion of the academic procession. The academic procession will proceed back to campus. Family and friends may follow the procession to the campus, where you are invited to join us in greeting the graduates and share refreshments on the back lawn of Debevoise Hall.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Casey and Simeon. That was beautiful. This concludes the proceedings of the Vermont Law School's 46th commencement. Congratulations.
Where's the mate?